Because tempos is a difficult one as well, I find, because it's kind of easy and people expect to, especially like week one, day one, where you're really trying to keep it aerobic, and people are like,
Yeah.
"Well, hold on, you're supposed to be trashing us. What's going on here?"
Yeah, it's quite, I think the main thing is just culture that we have to go against in that aspect of things,
Hmm.
because like you said, they're just used to getting, kicked in the face on day one, and that's what they expect prep has to be. There is no, like you said, starting from a blank slate, I think is a very interesting way of doing things, because you come in, you're like, okay, the guys have been, especially now, like the guys have been through COVID. So sure, some of them stayed fit, some of them did their thing, most of them didn't do anything. And now you have, especially at, I mean, the level that I play at, we're amateur players. We train twice a week. You can't expect the world out of the guys, especially when they're off and they actually get to enjoy some time off at home. So, all more power to them to actually take that time to do other things. But then you come
Hmm.
back and you have to get them back into shape. And so when do they have to get ready? Okay, 7 weeks from now. Okay, where are we now? We're 7 weeks out from the first game. So what shape are they in? They're in terrible shape. So what's the first training going to look like? Well, it should be a lot less hard than the last training of those 7 weeks. And if you think about it like that, it makes, total sense. You can kind of draw a line that's somewhat linear in terms of progression, and your preseason should pretty much look like that. So at the very start, like you said, first session is almost uncomfortable for the coach that's putting it in place, because like, okay, it's going to be so easy that they're going to look at you and be like, okay, what are we doing something after? Like, what's the deal? Was that the warm up?
Yeah.
But I think communication is very, very important at that point to actually get the guys to understand why you're doing something. So what I actually did this year is, before the preseason started, I put together a little quick, PowerPoint presentation for the guys. I filmed it. I sent it to everybody. So it's on video. It's on my YouTube channel. And the guys can look through it. And I kind of explain my reasoning behind why I integrated some of the elements into the preseason, why I progressed it that way. And then I did a Q&A session with the guys where they could come in and ask me all the questions they wanted. So the result of that was that on day one of the prep, the guys had the program, because I'd printed it out and put it in the changing room. So they had no excuse as to like, where do we meet? What do we do after this, et
Hmm.
cetera, et cetera. And at the same time, they were all bought into the program already, because they'd heard the why behind it and they understood it. And those that didn't ask the questions. And now they were just, ready to do the work. So that was something that I did this year that I didn't do last year, the explaining part. And I think that made a huge difference.